BSV blockchain, as we've said, because it's the fastest, cheapest, most scalable, most stable and most flexible blockchain out there, and I have a whole presentation about that as well. However, for the purposes of time, it's fast, cheap, scalable, and Bitcoin SV is the original blockchain. So that's our basic proposition. Our offer is £10,000 cash to new startups. So the goal is to find new startups, new entrepreneurs, new developers, find new ideas, take them through education and training on BSV tools with relevant and experienced mentors, support for all the admin hassle, as Craig explained. We put them through sprint methodology to build an MVP, and during the 12 weeks, we find an R&D client or 10 R&D consumers so they can iterate fast and get to market and create product market fit. And finally, we do the introduction to the business angels in order to help them raise their money. So, our process in the dojo, first of all, we want to identify the entrepreneurs. So we do that by going out, creating presentations, going to see university students, meetups, that kind of thing, industry groups, to educate them about BSV. Then we want to engage them, then we want to engage our R&D partners, and so what we're going to do here is ideation creation sessions, where we bring together professionals from industry verticals to identify problems and opportunities. And the third stage, of course, is activation, where we get our developers into workshops and hackathons, teach them about how the tools work, and encourage them to hack new ideas and create new solutions. So, how does our process work? We take in applications onto our website, obviously. We evaluate them. We've got a host of evaluators, advisors. They give us feedback, and then the approvals are invited to enter into the dojo for 12 weeks. The dojo process: startups join the dojo and get £10,000 cash. After 3 months of intensive, then they get 3 months of intensive training and mentoring with a real world R&D client, and after 3 months they present their product and service to our investor partners. The business angels say yes or no. If they say yes, the startup receives 140,000 SEIS funding to last them 12 months, and at the end of 12 months they build their tech product, secured their first paying clients, and they present to our business angels, okay? To secure 1.3 to 1.5 million pounds funding in EIS. So there we go, that's the process. Why choose the dojo? Well, here's all the things that we offer. Now we've got leaflets here that explain this in detail. It's a lot of work. And we're really trying to make partners with our startups and really get them on the runway as much as we can, provide as much as we can. So, all kinds of legal stuff here, financials, financial model, providing the mentors, helping them find their co-founder. Intensive training on the Sato loan. I'm going to introduce you to Robin next. Assisting with our competitor analysis, producing competitor matrix, handling their tech issues, hosting SSL, website, etc., building a database of customers for them, and doing branding and engagement so they can work out sales strategy, and we provide a bit of pitch training as well. And then finally, we introduce them to the angels. Right. And that's it. Okay, so I shall hand you on to Robin Kohze, our CTO, next. Can you go with him? Thank you.
My name is Robin. I'm the Chief Technology Officer. A bit about me: I'm a serial hackathon winner. I'm now in the final year of my WomenofBSV. I met in the society president. The society that enables Bitcoin SV development for Bitcoin students. And I'm also the CEO of the Binance Corporation. So what we do there is we bring people together, we create ideas, we think about executing ideas and how to make some valuable businesses. In that same spirit, as my role as the CTO of the Block Dojo, I will evaluate the technical feasibility of those startups, whether it makes any sense or not to create some on the blockchain or just a marketing, to actually filter out the companies that can add real world value by using the blockchain. And as part of it, I will also provide technical support in my person, but also as Next operation. We will have a 12-week program to teach our students, our startups, how to build applications from all the knowledge we acquired over the last 2 years in BSV development, but also how the experience with other startups. And to skip a bit, to save a bit of time, we will actually go a bit into the class. So we use Learn, interactive learning tool to teach students within a week of time all the basics of Bitcoin SV development. And one of the mentors says, Craig himself. We focus on 4 main incentives, which is the wallet workshop to learn the basics, the transactions, smart contracts and applications. And after this week, you can essentially create any kind of blockchain application. And to give our startups a bit of unfair advantage after selecting them, we also introduce the Realize infrastructure. It's basically an API infrastructure that abstracts any complexity from Bitcoin SV development away. We spend around 20,000 hours in Linux to develop it with over 20 developers. And we will give it for free for any of the Block Dojo teams. And with that, we think that the only challenge for them is actually finding a product market fit, not the technology. Okay, that was it from my side.
So I just want to go back and focus a little bit on what Craig said in the introduction. He mentioned, and Richard also about getting the startups funded. And most tech accelerators say that. And typically it's a bit of a weak proposition because they say it culminates in being introduced to angels. And in my experience, that doesn't generally, the program tends to filter off there. So we're coming at it from a slightly different angle. So a little bit about me, it's not entirely egotistical, but it's quite relevant. So 16 years building 4 companies, raised 35 million across those companies, had a few good exits, and then I actually took early retirement for a little while, not mentioned, but got bored, and then I decided I want to get back in the startup world. And so what's the hardest thing in the startup world? What's the problem? What can I try and, where can I help? So I became an investment consultant. I never actually came up with a good name for it, but effectively taking away the pain of raising money. So in that role, raised in the last 12 months actually slightly over 130 million for different companies. In 2020 was responsible for 20% of all the successful crowdfunding campaigns across Europe. And some of the things there that we're going to be looking at, sort of helping startups through the dojo, so I'm sure you know most of it, but pitch decks, outreach, some coaching, what we like to call herding cats, which is actually trying to get all the investors to sign the document on the same day, and closing around and some of the boring legal stuff. So going back, I think Craig said in his introduction, 90% of startups fail. And if you do any form of research, you'll find that number one reason is typically always cash flow, which is obviously linked to failing to raise investment. And it's hard work, it's not that much fun for most people. It's a big distraction, and that's one of the main issues. And if you're doing it for the first time, and throughout the ecosystem of one startup, you might only have to do it several times. So it's not a skill that you necessarily need to learn so much. It is one skill that you can kind of outsource a little bit. And going back to the chart there, the failure can kill. It's the number one startup killer. So how do we fix that? Or how do we help startups in the program? Right back at application stage, we look at it from a positive investment approach. And by positive, I mean we're not a VC looking for a reason not to invest in your company. If there's some weak areas, then we'll look to fill those and to help you through. As Richard mentioned, £10,000 golden hello, week 1. And then there's some investment focus throughout the 12-week program leading up to that big pitch event. I'm sure event somewhat like this, where we're going to have a really big network of active angels and funders
who are actively looking to invest, and we get them engaged early on. So at the pitch event, they know what they're coming to see. And following that, we have a sort of a more secret plan, I suppose, in terms of how we engage for the longer run. So once they leave the 12-week program, we'll then engage to get them to that 1.5 million round 12 months later, and then potentially even on to Series A, etc., etc. So yeah, I told you I'll keep it short and sweet. You can go back on that.